Last night, a huge storm with quite a bit of rotation had me a little bit nervous. There was a huge chance of tornadoes in the region, so I settled on a hotel. I rode about 415 miles today, and about 2/3 of that was in rain. In the Midwest, the rain tends to go from west to east, and the storm had seemed to blow me right into Grand Forks, North Dakota, right on the shores of the Red River, the border between North Dakota and my home state of Minnesota. I was actually quite looking forward to having a hotel room, actually. I needed all my stuff to lay out and dry, especially my riding clothes. It's been quite nice being on the road like this for 3 weeks. I haven't even used Facebook, and I rarely use my addiction, Reddit, and I didn't even miss it. You see, it's the summer before the 2016 election, and much like the storm that's downpouring outside, the United States, at this point in history, is also going through its own swirling political storm as well. It's early July, and Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are on their way to being the nominees of their respective parties after the Republican and Democratic parties have their conventions. Around this time in American history, it was a pretty good idea to stay off the internet as things were starting to get very stressful. At this time, the Russians were openly interfering in US elections. According to the Mueller investigation, an FBI special investigation into Russia's meddling, a collection of emails stolen from the Democratic National Committee were published by WikiLeaks, a classified media outlet with news leaks provided by anonymous sources. These emails resulted in allegations that the Democratic Party conspired against the Bernie Sanders campaign, Hillary's primary opponent, to win the Democratic ticket to run for president in 2016. The emails showed that the Democratic Party had been agreeing to financial and hiring arrangements for the Clinton campaign well before the primary or Bernie had even ran. The chair, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, a Democratic representative of Florida, resigned from her position, and the DNC issued a formal apology to Bernie Sanders and his supporters for the inexcusable remarks made over email. After the convention, the CEO, CFO, and communications director of the Democratic Party resigned. The CIA and intelligence community concluded that Russia had conducted these operations. Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, had claimed that the source wasn't Russia. The Mueller investigation had indicted 12 Russian nationals that were part of a group running under the moniker Guccifer 2.0. Guccifer 2.0 was the hacking group that had made that hack into the Democratic National Committee's emails.
Created, and it was a tornado watch or tornado warning, I'm not sure, in Grand Forks here. Probably about a half hour, an hour before I got here. So if I were to continue following the storm and then camp out somewhere maybe ahead of it or in it, yeah.
In addition to all of this, while the email leak was going on, there was a company called Cambridge Analytica that was openly targeting American Facebook users online throughout the presidential campaign season. The Facebook Cambridge Analytica data scandal has been described as a turning point in the public's understanding of how personal data on social media can be used against them. Cambridge Analytica developed an app called This Is Your Digital Life and circulated it online. Several 100,000 Facebook users would consent to complete a survey for what was arranged as academic use. Facebook's design, however, allowed the app to not only collect the personal information of the people who agreed to the survey, but collect all the personal information of all people in that user's Facebook social network. In short, you didn't have to take the survey for Cambridge Analytica to take your data. You only needed one friend who did. Facebook uses data like this all the time to target advertisements to you, and they're not alone. Tech giants like Google use this all the time. When you Google something, you'll see what you want to see, not exactly what there is to see. Obama had once mentioned this on the premiere episode of David Letterman's Netflix series, My Next Guest Needs No Introduction. During the Egyptian Revolution, somebody took a liberal, a conservative, and a quote-unquote moderate and sent them on a Google search. Egypt. Type it in. For the conservative, it came up Muslim Brotherhood, and for the liberal, it came up Tahrir Square, and for the moderate, it came up vacation spots on the Nile. Whatever your biases were, that's where you were being sent. Cambridge Analytica was purchased by a Ted Cruz megadonor, Robert Mercer. Cruz was a Republican primary opponent to Trump, much like Sanders was to Hillary. When Cruz conceded the primary to Trump, Cambridge Analytica began to work for the Trump campaign. They would use micro-targeting campaigns to send ads, fake news articles, and stir controversy to people who would likely vote for Trump in regions that were electorally important. The data head of Cambridge Analytica said, When you think about the fact that Donald Trump lost the popular vote by 3 million votes, but won the electoral college vote, that's down to the data and the research. Basically, for the entirety I'm filming myself here, I'm just talking about how nice it is to not be on social media, Reddit included.
All right, good morning.
There have been various studies that show that using Facebook can make you feel worse, such as having feelings of FOMO, fear of missing out, stress, and envy, triggered by holiday and vacation photos, photos of relationships, or social gatherings. When we receive likes or comments, our brain is also hit with a neurotransmitter called dopamine, the reward chemical. It makes us feel wanted, loved, useful, or overall happy. The brain has several distinct dopamine pathways, one of which plays a major role in the motivational component of reward-motivated behavior. Many addictive drugs, such as cocaine or meth, give us dopamine, like Facebook does whenever you receive likes. This cocktail of emotions we get from Facebook and other social media can be addictive, as it is damaging. Research at Stanford University and NYU followed 3,000 Facebook users who deactivated their accounts for 4 weeks. It showed that there was a reduction in political polarization, an increase in subjective well-being, and a reduction in Facebook use after they had returned to the social network. This video was filmed 3 weeks after me not being on social media throughout my trip to the Pacific and back. I would only use it to contact friends to coordinate meetups if they didn't have their phone numbers, and upon my return to society, I would eventually return to Facebook. As of the editing of this video, I have been off Facebook for 5 months and counting. I've been forgotten for things like birthdays because of the events tool, and I've probably missed out on connecting with a lot of old friends who live far away. I have not, however, found myself missing it. For the first few weeks, I would still, as a throwback to my addiction, open the app to find myself logged out. I would instinctively type in Facebook on my URL bar upon opening up my laptop. Eventually, I removed the app from my homepage on my phone, and the habit began to subside. For those of you interested in quitting, you can do so for a short period of time, or you can shut it down indefinitely. Obviously, Zuckerberg still keeps all your photos, history, data, and everything else stored for a potential, sometimes inevitable, return. When you're no longer using Facebook, and you ask how someone is doing, you genuinely don't know. When you reach out to a friend, it's out of your own curiosity. I'd suggest trying it for a few months, or at least until you stop hitting the app instinctively. You'd be surprised how nice it can really be. Especially when, after what we knew what was going on in that day in 2016, how much power you give away to others when you use it.